live from Bozeman, Montana.
No, now we're good.
We're live now from Bozeman, Montana. 22 degrees outside, and we're inside where it's nice and warm. Hey, Michael, this is streaming without me in it. What'd you do? Look at that screen up there.
I don't know.
Now it's got me in it. What? You got some sort of magic going on, dude. These guys, folks, this production crew I have, they just like to put me on edge. They're like, oh no, we're not filming. I got my finger in my ear and picking my nose. And then they say, oh, we're filming, and we're not. So I don't know. I think they just like cracking jokes at my expense. But anyhow, thanks for tuning in. We are on episode, I can't even remember where we're at, 38, 30, 35, I don't know, of Elk Talk Live. So as you know, I think we're on now part 7 of Hunt Elk Every Year. And the idea is that we are going to make sure every one of you, before this season is over, have realized you can go and hunt elk every year. I don't care where you live, there's some place that has an elk tag on with your name on it. So we've been talking a lot lately about, well, Wyoming, they had their draw. The deadline was January 31st, and the results came out last Friday. Hey, Michael, did you draw?
For what? Wyoming?
Wyoming elk.
No, I didn't.
Michael didn't draw. Marcus didn't draw. I didn't draw. But my son and Uncle Larry drew. So a lot of you ask, when's Uncle Larry going to be on your show again? Well, guess what? Uncle Larry drew Wyoming elk. So that's going to be a fun hunt. And then the Arizona deadline was February 13th. And I think on Friday or Saturday, I shouldn't get everyone's hopes up, but my gut tells me your credit card, if you drew, you're going to get a notification sometime before next Monday. And then we've got Montana. We made that video live on our YouTube channel, right, Michael? Yeah, we did a Montana video, the most complicated of all the western states. Today, Michael's working on the New Mexico video because, let's see, Utah's deadline is tomorrow. Is it tomorrow, March 1st. Montana is March 15th. And then you got New Mexico, March 21st. And then you got Colorado, April 3rd. So we've spent a lot of time on Montana. Now we're going to start talking more about New Mexico and Colorado. And we just want to make sure that everybody goes elk hunting this year. And before we get into it, remember, this whole Elk Talk Live thing is brought to you by the great folks at Bowtech, right here on this hat. The great folks at Leupold, Tight Spot Quivers, Ripcord Arrow Rests, Black Gold sights. Let's see, I'm forgetting Onyx maps, GoHunt.com. And this week, Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. They're gonna, if you leave comments, someone's gonna get randomly picked from Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls for one of their, I think it's called their Black Magic Diaphragm Call. So, and on this, Go Hunt, if you use the promo code for their insider service, use promo code Randy, they'll give you $50 of free store credit in their gear shop. And if you use promo code Randy out at Onyx to buy some of their apps, you're gonna get 20% off. So there, you just saved some money for listening, right? Hey, Michael, you're watching from Las Cruces. I hope I get to drive through Las Cruces because this year I applied for an archery tag in Unit 16C. And I love hunting the south end of Unit 16C, not too far from Las Cruces. Let's see. Love the Onyx maps, Terry Anderson. Boy, so do I. It's one of those how did you live without it sort of things, right? Oh, man. All right, Michael, I'm going to be counting on you here. Okay, here's one right away. Can I ask an off-topic question? What do you think of a 308 for mountain goats? I know you've hunted them. What are your thoughts? I shot my mountain goat with the 270. The 308 is a 30 caliber, so it's a larger diameter bullet. I would not hesitate at all to hunt mountain goats with the 308. In fact, if you go to season, let's see, I think it's season 3 of Fresh Tracks, and they're all out on Amazon now. Our Amazon channel, we just uploaded seasons 2 and 3. in the first episode of season 6 that just was filmed last fall. But anyhow, season 3, we did a mountain goat hunt with Randy Hodges from Missoula. And Randy was using my 7mm 08, which if you think about that, that's the 308 neck down to a 284 diameter. And one shot, 290 yards, dead, great big old Billy. So if it's smaller sister, the 7mm 08 will take care of a mountain goat. No problem with the bigger 308. So, Casey, watching from Bozeman, Montana. Heck, you could have come right down here and listened. Maybe we could put you to work down here. You know what we did last week, Michael? We told people about the job announcement.
Did anybody say anything?
I don't know if they applied here, but if you go out to our Facebook page, we're hiring somebody who wants to have a great job in Bozeman, Montana, running around the hills with us, filming, sleeping in tents, eating crappy food. Philip confirms. Hey, Philip, I got your message right here. He confirms Arizona's going to be hitting credit cards sometime on Friday. So that's good. Let's see. Montana. Why is Montana so complicated? Good question. So I'm going to kind of go over Montana again real quickly. If you want the full detail about how Montana works, we did a highlight video on YouTube. I think we posted it last Thursday. But the real details of everything related to Montana you can get out on the Go Hunt website using their insider service. It goes into Montana, it goes into all the states in these application strategy articles, way more than what we can cover here. But Montana, as a non-resident, you need to acquire either one of the general elk deer combination licenses or one of the general elk only licenses, or one of the general deer licenses. And since we're talking elk here, we'll just talk about the first two. So as a non-resident, you can get the deer and elk combined license or just the elk license. And once you get that, that gives you a general tag to hunt all the general units in Montana, which most everything other than central and southeast Montana are general units. So once you get that, on the same application, you say, if I draw one of these general tags, put me in the limited entry draw with all the residents, and I'd like to apply for one of these limited entry areas, which are really, they're different than our general areas. Our limited entry areas, they're hard to draw, but they have unbelievable elk hunting. Really, really good age class, lots of animals. The terrain is usually much more mild. That's why they're in such demand for these tags. So remember, by March 15th, you have to apply. First, you have to acquire either the elk deer combo or the general elk. Both of those options are general tags. And if you clear that hurdle, then you can apply for the limited entry tags. So, back to your question. I don't know why Montana has to be that complicated. Here's Todd. Randy, planning on a do-it-yourself elk hunt in Montana this year, but I have a fear of getting stuck on the mountain with my truck in a snowstorm. How do you manage this, and when do you get off the hill? I carry chains, carry a jack. I have a winch on my truck. You may not be able to do that, but for the most part, it's not that big of a worry. I think in my, 20 whatever years of hunting elk in Montana, let's see, this year it'll be my 27th season. I think I've been stuck twice, so I wouldn't worry about it. Come here and hunt. Chris Garcia says, Randy, watching from Albuquerque, New Mexico, come hunt Unit 52. I've never hunted 52, but twice we've went and filmed in Unit 51, not far away. I like the early season dates in Unit 51. Yeah, so the New Mexico deadline, right, is March 21st. So New Mexico. I want to follow up more on what we're talking about in New Mexico. You think about it, New Mexico, yeah, you have to send in all of the tag fee, but guess what? It's all refundable. Yeah, you have to send in an application fee, I think, of $15. Okay, you don't get that back. And you do have to send in a license fee of $65, but if you check the box, you get that back. So in New Mexico, you got to front some money, but you're going to get it all back other than $15. And they have some tremendous elk hunting with lots and lots of public land. So this Unit 51 that I told you that we've hunted in the past, the season opens like October 6th or 8th. The elk are still bugling, and you're there with a rifle. It hardly seems fair, but that's one of the places you can do that. So, Randy, do you harvest the tongue meat? If not, you should. It's great for tacos. John asked that. Hey, Michael, we ate a little elk tongue this year, didn't we?
Yeah, we sure did.
So we were in Wyoming. In fact, the next episode that's going up live on Amazon, we didn't have enough time to put the piece in there about cooking the elk tongue, but we talked about how we kept it. And if you go out on our YouTube channel and watch the day by day, I can't remember. These day by day episodes on YouTube are pretty long. We show you how to cook the elk tongue, and we ate it right there in elk camp. So, yeah, I'll be doing more of that. So, Randy, how important is Onyx Maps in New Mexico? More than just New Mexico. Onyx Maps is, like I said earlier, how I hunted without it, I don't know. And so I'm going to tell you why it's such a tool for us. A lot of people say, how do you guys draw so many tags? Well, we apply in the places that other people might shy away from because there's some public and private land. And with Onyx Maps, we can negotiate those boundaries. We can hunt there with confidence. So we end up drawing more tags because, and I don't blame people. They say, look, I get one elk hunt a year. I want to go someplace where it's all public land. I don't blame them. But I got to do multiple tags. We got to get multiple tags every year. So I got to look at places maybe other people don't really want to go. And most often those have a lot of public-private mix in them. And without the Onyx system, there's really no way we could do it. So again, remember, if you use promo code Randy, you're going to get 20% off their app products. Jim, hey, hi, Northern Minnesota. Yeah, you bet you dare, eh? I'll be coming home this summer. Yeah. Let's see. How would you hunt Southwest Colorado during the muzzleloader season the week before peak rut? I would get places where I could be very mobile. Southwest Colorado is really, really tough country. And you're not going to have elk on a lot of those steep slopes. I mean, the San Juan Mountain country, you look at that, there's not going to be elk up on those rock faces. They're going to be in the basins. They're going to be in the little pockets. And get to where you can listen and call in those places. And when you hear it, go. Get there. Don't think that in archery season or in muzzleloader season that you're always going to be able to call the elk to you. That's one of the things you might see on some of these videos where they're hunting exclusive ranches, right? The elk never hears any other hunters, so they hear a call and they come walking in and everyone's like, oh wow, why doesn't it work like that for me? Well, the reason it doesn't work like that for me is I'm hunting highly pressured elk on public land. So I got to move in on them, not the other way around. So whether you're doing that with archery, whether you're doing it with muzzleloader on public land, that same thing is going to happen. Randy, what is typical elk behavior right before, during, and after a snowstorm? I've seen them up in the middle of snowstorms. I've seen them moving a lot during snowstorms, but I've also seen them just bed down and wait the storm out. And then when the cold, clear weather comes after the storm, then they are really putting the feed bag on. If you give me one choice of when to hunt elk in the late season, it's going to be the day after, the cold day after a storm has moved through. And you know how the storm is there, it's snowing, it's maybe 20 degrees. When it clears off that night, it gets down to 5 below or 10 below. That next morning when it's clear, that's when those elk are going to be up feeding for a long time. That's when I want to be there. Oh, let's see. What trekking poles do I typically use for high elevation hunts? Lately I've been using some of the ones that Leupold has. I also have a lot of these, they're called Leaky, L-E-K-I. If you were watching the Winter Olympics the last few weeks, you saw all the cross country and biathletes have the, Leaky poles. And I use the ultralight ones that are called cork lights. And I always get the friction binder clips. I don't get the twist clips. The twist clips have a couple problems. Usually they can't hold as much weight when you're going downhill. And then in the snow, a lot of times they'll get a big ice ball on them. And that's just really a pain when you got to adjust them, because I'll be adjusting them if I'll shorten the uphill one and lengthen the downhill one, or when I'm going downhill I'll lengthen them, and when I'm going uphill I'll shorten them. So I don't like it when they're all frozen in a big ice ball, because I'm constantly adjusting those things to what works for me. So let's see. Is there such a thing as calling elk in Arizona in December? Any calls that get their attention outside the rut? No. I mean, maybe there is. If there is, I don't know how effective it is. The only time I'd use a call then is I'd have a diaphragm call in my mouth, and if you busted one and they're looking around, if you needed to get them to stop as they're walking through an opening, moving away from you, a cow call sometimes will help with that. So a lot of times if you hear me talking on our episodes and it's like, what's wrong with his mouth? It's because I have a diaphragm call stuck in my cheek and I'm trying to talk with it in my mouth, because I usually have it in my mouth just in case that instance. But as far as what you would normally do with calling in archery season or muzzleloader season, nah, I've not had any success. But let's see. Do deer and elk need to find open water to drink during serious cold snaps, or can they get by with eating snow? You know, I've found that they don't need open water. They can get by with the snow and the moisture that's in the vegetation that they're eating. But if you're in places that don't have snow but it gets really cold, I've been in places in Nevada and Arizona, New Mexico, where it's frozen. Even though there's no snow on the ground, it got down to 15 degrees at night. Then it gets to be a little dicey. But one of the things you can tell is which water sources they prefer when it's frozen, because when they go there, they'll break the ice, and you go to check out all the water holes, check out the ones that have the broken ice. That's the ones that they're using. So, Scott says, I've chosen a first and second choice unit for New Mexico. Any advice on a third choice unit that could be a sleeper? If I told everybody it wouldn't be a sleeper anymore, I would just look at the draw odds and say, which of these that have better draw odds that fit my calendar works, and I'd just pick one. I wouldn't be that worried about it. Like, we haven't said this, but we have in the video that Michael's editing right now. New Mexico gives you 3 choices that they look at before they go on to the next person, and you can give a 4th and 5th choice. As a non-resident, I'd say don't even bother with a 4th or 5th choice. Those are special hunts if they're trying to do like damage complaints or stuff like that. So really you're looking at 3 choices. I always make your first choice some swing for the fences kind of home run pitch. My second choice, I'm like, you know what? I'm still going to try to hit a triple here. My third choice, I just want to get on base. I don't care. So I'm looking at what are my best odds. And New Mexico has 2 archery seasons in most units. An archery season that's September 1st to the 14th, and then another archery season that is the 15th to the 24th. And then depending on whether it's, well, it depends on which unit, but most of them have 2 firearm seasons. And the firearm might be muzzleloader or it might be rifle. Some of the units like 13, 15, and 17, they never have a rifle season. All their firearm seasons are muzzleloader seasons. And then some of them will actually have a 3rd firearm season. So you got a lot to choose from in New Mexico as far as what's going to fit your dates. I just kind of prioritize it and say, man, if I draw a low random number, I want unit 16D or whatever might be the one you want. And then I get kind of, well, middle of the road type draw odds, and then one that's way better draw odds. Because if you think about how New Mexico allocates their tags to those of us who are non-residents, 84% of the pool of tags goes over to the resident draw. So that leaves 16% that goes somewhere else. Well, 10 of that goes into an outfitter draw, and then 6% of it goes to the self-guided non-resident. So we're competing for a really small pool of tags in New Mexico. Randy, do you hunt burns that are older than 5 years old? Yep, I do. If it's still the newest burn on the mountain and it's 10 years old, that's the one I'm hunting. And a lot of burns will stay productive for a lot longer than people think. Let's see, John asks, in a crowded over-the-counter unit, do you think it's best to be more aggressive or more passive with elk? I'm assuming that you're talking about in archery season. If I'm there archery hunting, I'm probably going to be more aggressive, whether it's an over-the-counter or a limited entry unit. And I know that some people will have a completely different opinion on that. No, I'm going to be quiet and I'm this, I'm that. I get it. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying my personal tactic is I'm more aggressive rather than passive. Brett asks, what bow quiver do you run? Do you like a 3, 5, 7 arrow and why? I run a 5 arrow tight spot quiver. I like 5, I carry 4 broadheads, and then someone else asked, what kind of small game point do I have? I have a judo point. And the tight spot, if you've ever put a tight spot quiver on your bow, you realize you can slide it in or out a little bit. You can tilt it forward, backward, you can do whatever. You can almost use it as a stabilizer type thing to balance any place where you might say, well, I want a little more weight forward, I want a little more weight back, whatever. They're super lightweight, they're almost indestructible, but they're is adaptable and can be kind of modified for whatever you need to dial in your shooting that much more. So I use the tight spot quivers. I've been using them since they started making them. Let's see. Oh, Preston wants to know, how heavy do you like your arrows in grains? Boy, I think if you add up my whole package, and every year I get a little bit heavier and a little bit heavier. I think I'm right now pushing 500 as my total arrow weight and everything. My broadheads, I go with a 3 or 4 blade, fixed blade broadhead. In the West, you'll find a lot more people use fixed blades rather than mechanicals for a couple of reasons. One, they're usually elk hunting, and most elk hunters who've taken a lot of elk with their bow will recommend a fixed blade over a mechanical. Also, some states like Idaho, you can't use a mechanical blade. You have to use a fixed blade. So if you got guys who are hopping around hunting multiple states, they don't want to bother with, oh, gee, I'm going to shoot a mechanical in this state and a fixed blade in this state. So that's why I think in the West, you'll see a lot more people using fixed blades. Wyoming moose, sheep, mountain goat deadline is today for residents and non-residents. Oh, Desiree, thanks for saying so. I forgot about that. I wonder what time they close. Did they close at 5 o'clock Mountain Time, or do they go till midnight Mountain Time? So if you want to be on the Wyoming moose, goat, sheep, or bison, you got, well, I don't know how long you have, but it was sometime today, or will be sometime today when the deadline comes. So you got anything over there, Michael, that I mean, I'm just going. We got people talking about grouse hunting. Someone wants to know when I'm doing Grouse Talk Live instead of Elk Talk Live. So, all right. So if we're going to do Grouse Talk Live, let me look at this list of sponsors. Bowtech, yeah, they would still be a great group to do Grouse Talk Live because I shoot a lot of them with my bow, right? Leupold, they'd be great ones because I'm range finding them. I'm like, all right, how far is that grouse? Okay, that's 25 yards, so they'd be a good one. Onyx would be another good one because if I see a grouse, I need to know which side of the fence he's on. And since I shoot a lot of them with my bow, I guess that includes tight spot, ripcord, and black gold. Go Hunt, I'm not sure if Go Hunt would be a great Grouse Talk Live sponsor. What do you think? Oh, but they have a great gear shop that has a lot of stuff that I could use for grouse hunting, so that would work. Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. I think where they would come in is when I'm grouse hunting, I fake people out like I'm really elk hunting. So I got to have my my big bugle tube kind of tucked under my arm here. And so this is like my disguise when I'm grouse hunting. People think, oh, he's out there elk hunting? No, I'm out there grouse hunting, and I'll shoot an elk if I find one. But so I think we could do that, don't you? Yeah, Michael's over there. I don't know what he's doing. He's editing or something.
I'm trying to find out this Wyoming bison.
Oh, Michael's looking up what the deadline is. Go to apply or buy on that button up there. He's looking to see if it's at midnight or if it was at 5 o'clock. Oh, Cody, this is a good question. How and when would you hunt archery elk if the season date was August 18th through September 14th? Tells me you're thinking of either Nevada or Utah, right? I know it's one of those two states. I would think about if it was a spot that was somewhat open, like in some of the big sage basins of Nevada, I might go there and spot and stock them right when season opened. Otherwise, if I didn't do that, I'd go the last few days, whatever. If I had 5 days to hunt, I'd go the last 5 days of the season, because September 14th, you're right where the peak of the rut's starting. So if you came back 5 or 7 days from that's when I'd do it. Let's see. Am I hunting Colorado this year? Jeremy. I'm not sure. All right, Cody just chimed in here. He said, yeah, I'm talking Utah on that prior question. Am I hunting Colorado? That depends. It depends on our calendar. Right now, I'm slated to go and do a first rifle elk hunt, which will be, I think this year, October 14th through the 18th or something like that. But if I draw some of these other tags, or someone in our group draws some of these tags that conflict with that, I'll have to kind of punt on that one, I guess you'd say it. Let's see, Simon, Randy, I've hunted Montana for elk via the Northern Yellowstone migration by Gardner. Since the general season was shortened, it's become harder to kill a big bull. Yep, it is. Giving up the last 2 weeks if you have a general tag. Yes, you're right, it has, because what happened is that herd, the vulnerability of those elk when they come out of Yellowstone Park, those bulls were getting shot. We were in single-digit post-hunt bull-to-cow ratio. So we're seeing 6, 7 bulls per 100 cows, which just is not sustainable. So it definitely is harder because of that change. Now, people would get a kick out of this. I was just down there yesterday. I've spent 2 days in the last week since the last time that we did Elk Talk Live. I've spent 2 days with the folks at 60 Minutes. And we were down there. So we'll talk about that at a later date. I'm kind of under a gag order, right, Michael? I can't talk too much about it. Let's see, Randy, what's your opinion on hunting the Bighorn Mountains in Wyoming for mule deer? I've never hunted them for mule deer. I've hunted them for elk, and I saw some mule deer, but I was so focused on elk, I just walked right by the mule deer. I didn't give it much thought. All right, Justin, you're chiming in late here. Someone else asked the same question you just asked. Mid-August opener for archery elk. I think Justin's talking about the South Cache unit in Utah or somewhere in Utah. Would you spot and stock or would you sit water? When I had my Utah tag, I sat water and I did some calling. It was interesting. They'd come in silently, but you could call a few of them in. So good luck on that one, Justin. I hope you do better than I did. But all right. Okay, Desiree says, I just verified on the Wyoming website you have until midnight Mountain Daylight Time to do your moose, goat, sheep, and bison application. So what do we got? We got 3 hours and about 28 minutes, I think. Or do I have that wrong? No, I got that right. So if you want to be in on the Wyoming draw, you better get it there. Tony is asking, how are the edits going? I think he's talking about season 6. They're going. We're getting there. You guys are really impatient. So on our Amazon channel, we put up episode 1. We do 12 episodes a year. So we just got episode 1 approved, and we're going to be doing episode 2. If we throw them all up there in the next 2 months, then what are you guys you're gonna be hounding me relentlessly in August and September and November. Like, Randy, where's the new stuff? I mean, it takes a long time to turn this stuff around. So we're working on them. But I don't know if Brett want more of season 6. All right, I can see I'm going to have to somehow block this out. It's people are really giving it to me now. I should come hunt elk in Manitoba. Yeah, I should. Oh, you know what? So, Alberta. I found out that if I get sponsored, that's the term they use up there, I can go deer or elk hunting in Alberta. And I got a couple guys who do a podcast up there. I was on their podcast. They're like, yeah, come on up. Let's go do it. So I wonder what people would think if I went and did an Alberta elk hunt, Michael.
I hope they would be cool with it.
Okay, Michael says, I hope they'd be cool with it because he wants to go there. But I don't think I can do that in Manitoba, but I think I could do it in Alberta. All right, would the thing shut down here? Is it still running on yours? Oh, it must be my connection here.
It says perfect.
Let's see, how a model 1500 or Alpine mountain rifle in a 308? Mike, right now I'm going to say 1500 because they are ending the production cycle of the mountain rifle. So if you want one, you better get one. Let's see, archery or rifle for Nevada elk? A lot of people would say rifle because Nevada and most of their units have a really early archery season. This year, all my Nevada applications, I think, are going to be archery for elk. And just something about chasing bulls in the sage and the juniper and the pinyon. Just, it'd be a ton of fun. But I don't think that I'm going to draw. So I probably don't need to worry about it. Jonathan asks, is season 6 on YouTube? No, here's what's happening. The day-by-day stuff from season 6, a lot of that's out on YouTube already, but the final polished episodes, they go to Amazon and they sit there for about 3 weeks and then they're going to YouTube. So they'll get there. Tony asks, how was the Arizona bonus point class when you took it? Long. I think I was there for 14 or 15 hours, but it was worth it. I have a permanent bonus point in Arizona for taking their hunter education class. So this year, I go into the drawing with 2 points. Even though I drew Arizona last year, most people would get reset back to 0. I got my hunter ed point, which is always there. And because I've been a good loyal customer, after 5 years of continual, of never breaking, missing a year, they give you that loyalty point. Now, if I were to miss a year, I'd lose my loyalty point. But right now, I'm back in with 2 points. Let's see. Could you do a video on how you glass? As a Midwesterner, I glass once and move on. You seem to wait how long, under what conditions, etc. Didn't we do one of those, Michael?
Yeah, I'm about to post it.
Yeah, okay. Michael's going to post that here. He's got the video. Brent, I think he'll post a link out there. There, he just posted it. So, and now everybody's going to friend Michael John Parente, right? Everybody go friend Michael. Make him feel good. Muzzleloader or first rifle for Colorado? I have 9 points and I normally hunt area 40. Which would you go for? I guess it depends on what you prefer to hunt with. I mean, the muzzleloader is going to be in the peak of the rut. And if you like bugling elk, go do that. But if you are in an area where it's like, man, I might be having to take some longer shots, probably go with the rifle, because Colorado, you guys have some serious restrictions on what's allowed as a muzzleloader in Colorado. Let's see. Have I had a chance to use those new Leupold Rangefinders yet? Unfortunately, I've not. They sent me one, and I got it after we got done in Arizona. But it's I'm sure it's going to be like all their other stuff. I have had a chance to use the new BX5 binoculars, the 10x42s. Ooh, love them. I've been using Leupold binoculars back when they had the gold rings, right? The the old ones that were they were heavy, but they were known for super quality glass. The new BX5 are the best Leupold binos I've ever used. So I'd be looking into those if I was in the bino market. Do you add insoles to your boots, or do you just find them comfortable enough as is? Well, if you're like Randy Newberg and you've had surgery on I think it's called a posterior tibial tendon, you've got one of these in your boot and in your shoe. Old football injury. And I'm flat. My feet are flatter than Fred Flintstone's thanks to having tibial tendons that are destroyed. So I end up with these custom insoles. I have to, because otherwise my arches collapse, which hurts my hamstrings, which hurts my back, which creates all kinds of problems. So make sure your feet are taken care of, whether it's insoles, custom insoles, whatever. 3 points for Colorado deer this year. Can you suggest any great units? I can, but I'm not going to, because I don't want you to take my tag. That's terrible, Randy. It would depend on which season you're hunting. If you want to hunt the second season or the third season, I don't know as a non-resident if you could draw any of the fourth season tags with only 3 points. My mind, I'd have a different recommendation for second season that I have for third season. So, and Dennis asks, Randy, did you pick a new cameraman? No, we haven't. We're going to keep the cameraman application position open at least through mid-March, maybe the end of March. And it's funny, when we posted it, we said on Facebook, there were 3 sentences. We're growing, want to grow with us. And the last sentence was, do not respond on Facebook. Half of the people have responded on Facebook. Gone, sorry. If you can't read simple instructions like that, you're not going to be able to deal with this big list of instructions that I give people like Michael. Michael's over there like, yeah, you should see the list of instructions this guy gives me. Zach asked, did I say the 10 by 42 in the BX5? I thought they only came in the 15 by 56s. Not for this year. 10 by 42, my friend. They will be there. Your dealer should have them. If not, if they don't already, they will be having them. I want to hunt deer in Utah. Any tips? Yeah. Get a general tag and go. Utah's weird. They call it a general tag, but you have to draw for it. Okay. Fine. But if you don't have a lot of points, that's really your only option for Utah deer. Mike, yeah, I agree. Mike Mulligan, insoles are a lifesaver. I think if people would take time to think about their feet as kind of the tires on your truck. You know, if you got a bunch of skinners on your truck, you're not getting off the highway. If you take care of your feet, it's unbelievable how much easier it is to do 10 miles in a day. And then if you add trekking poles, I've talked to doctors and they're like, yeah, that'll save at least 30% of the amount of effort by using trekking poles. And if you're loaded up with, you know, we're usually carrying 20 to 30 pound packs. If we don't have anything, that's just our production gear. So you think about, you're on uneven terrain, you're walking uphill, downhill, side hilling. If you have that extra balance of a trekking pole, that saves so much wear and tear on your calves, on all your joints, your ankles, your knees, your hips. You can go so much longer without getting fatigued with something like that. And the same with insoles. Let's see. Matt says, play the lotto. You have a better chance. And I'm even me as a Utah resident. Unfortunately, Matt, you're correct. Utah has the worst odds of any state for elk tags. And that's why I tell people, when you're prioritizing your budget of what you can do, you have to look at it and say, all right, which are the states that are most expensive? Or if they are expensive, maybe I'm going to build some benefit out of it over time and I can be confident I'm going to get to go. Utah is expensive to apply and you never see the light at the end of the tunnel. I lucked out and drew with like 4 or 5 points, but that is so rare. If you're on a limited budget, look at places that that have better draw odds. If you are going to have to buy that license, that non-refundable license, make sure it's a state that has decent draw odds. So, let's see. Carrie says, I have trekking poles, but I've never used them. I'll try it this year. Try them, Carrie, and if that doesn't work, I'll buy them from you. Uh-oh. I better break out my money, right? Me and my big mouth. Logan, do you have any more hunts from this year that haven't made it to YouTube yet? Oh yeah, we got a lot of them. Today we released the Arizona Javelina one. I wasn't even there. So Marcus, the normal production guy, him and Michael rotate this Elk Talk Live thing. They were down there. Kara got her brand new Bowtech bow, and she walks up and she's like, there's nothing in this Javelina stuff. Thump. Drills one. Well, Marcus, he's like, man, I really wish I could get one of those nice round bows you got there. I'm like, let's see if we can do that. So Marcus, he goes down there with his brand new Bowtech, just like his wife, and he does the same thing. So today was Kara's part of that hunt. Tomorrow is Marcus's part of that hunt. And then on Friday on our YouTube channel, you're going to see Hank Shaw. Okay, Hank is like the world's best wild game chef I've ever met. He took this Javelina, and Michael, did you think that Javelina could taste that good?
I did not know that it could taste that good.
Nah. So we're putting up a video of Hank cooking this Javelina, the whole recipe, start to finish, where you can find it in his new book. He has a new book called Pheasant Quail Cottontail. And in that YouTube video, there's a link where you can buy that book. So yeah, that's just one we just released today on YouTube. And next week, I think it's going to be next week or maybe the week after, where we're going to do our hunt down there, where after the Javelina were done, we hunted coos deer, and in the process, we hunted some quail, some ducks, some antelope, jackrabbits. What am I missing? Quadamundé. Yeah, we ate them all. It was so much fun. It just really a ton of fun. Jackalope recipe. Hey, those antelope jackrabbits, you're going to want to watch that piece because Hank cooked it, and it's going to be there. And we were joking that it was a jackalope. Really, they do have a species of jackrabbits in Arizona called antelope jackrabbits. They're like 10, 11 pounds, and they got ears on them about that long, but the body's about that tall. Oh man, that was good. Next time we go down there, Michael, I'm just hunting jackrabbits. Heck with it. Of all the stuff we ate there, of all the stuff I've eaten this year, that jackrabbit is in the top 4. Yeah. Pretty good. Yeah, it was superb. But are you in the Hunt Gather Cook Facebook group? Yep, I am, Liz. I would suggest Hank moderates that pretty tight. I mean, if you ask to be in his Hunt Gather Cook Facebook thing, you got to be dialed in. And then also out on the Bowtech page, there's a live thing just like we do. I think it's the Collins is their last name. These guys are so funny. They're Canadians from Ontario. And not that I love Canadians because I grew up right on the Canadian border, but go out to the Bowtech Archery page and click on the live stream channels, and you're going to see them. And they have some amazing recipes also. Go check those out. Let's see. How far away do you camp from your target area in the backcountry on a hunt? I'm probably going to be at least a mile, maybe more. The last thing I want to do, if I'm in the backcountry, it's not like I have tons of mobility, right? You've said, all right, this big basin or these groups of small finger basins, this is where I'm hunting. If I'm going to go somewhere else, I got 8 miles. No, I got to think this through. So I'm not going to go in and camp right in on one of those basins or the one basin. I'm going to be at least a mile, maybe further from there. Because elk, if they think that you are there disturbing them, you're not going to see them for very long. All right. Oh, boy. Randy, are you ready for your credit card to be hit tomorrow for the Arizona draw? I hope you're right, man, but I doubt it. Because everyone in our group, other than Marcus, I think, and me and Marcus applied for late rifle hunts, and we don't have many points. I think we each have 2 points. So the odds are slim just because we have such low points. Everybody else in our group, we applied them for the early rifle hunts, right? What are the odds of that as non-residents? So small. So I'm pretty sure my credit card isn't going to get hit for anything in Arizona tomorrow. But be thinking about these deadlines, folks. Tomorrow is Utah. The 15th of March is Montana. And then we've got March 21st is New Mexico. And then we've got April 3rd is Colorado. So once Utah kind of drifts away tomorrow, then we're going to have Montana, New Mexico, Colorado, and then we're going to start also talking about Nevada, because Nevada is going to come into the mix. So you can go elk hunting every year. And the fun part about this is when we're all done, I know some people are going to say, man, I didn't draw a tag. What do I do now? Well, we have some ideas for you. And hopefully you'll go there and hopefully you'll have a ton of fun. Shauna asks, how difficult is it for a Canadian to come down to the States and hunt? It's easy. It's way easier for you to come to the States and hunt than it is for U.S. citizens to go to the provinces and hunt. So you get treated just like a non-resident. So if you and I both apply in New Mexico, you as a non-resident, even though you're Canadian, have the same odds that I have in New Mexico. Sounds weird, but that's how it is. And we don't force Canadians to use outfitters, whereas if I go to Canada, in most provinces, I have to use an outfitter. So it's really, really easy. Oh, Zach asks, if the weather's supposed to be good, do you ever take a sleeping bag for overnight in the backcountry? Just take a sleeping bag? No, I don't trust the weather. I don't trust the weatherman. A good way to get in trouble is to trust a weatherman in a mountain hunt. I would never go in there with just a sleeping bag. I'm going to bring some sort of shelter with me. Michael, we got to come. What is that big mouth thing, that water filter thing that they sent us that we haven't had a chance to use yet?
The Catadine?
Yeah, the Catadine. Someone's asking what water filtration system we use. Almost all of them we use are Catadines. We have used some platypus stuff. We did a video on water filtration out on our YouTube channel.
Those are called Be-Free, Catadine.
Oh, yeah. So they have these Catadine Be-Frees. You just dump them in the creek, and they got like a dispenser on the top, and the filter's built into it. I'm so excited to use those this year. I'm just going to go somewhere where it's really hot and dry, just so I can use my Be-Free when I get there. And then I'll probably regret that, oh, the only thing here is a cattle pond, and I'm drinking scum off a cattle pond or something. Chris says, I heard you can send back your Nevada big game tag and retain your points. Yes, you can. You don't get your money back, but you can turn your tag in and have your points restored. I wouldn't do it because Nevada's so hard to draw. When you draw, just go. Go do the hunt. Randy, do you do any shed hunting? No, I don't. When I'm out there, and some of you have seen this on our episodes, if I find a shed antler, I hang it in the trees. And that goes back to growing up with some friends who were Native Americans. And that's what they did. And I just kind of picked that up as a habit. And now the camera crew knows if I hang an elk antler in a tree, and somebody grabs that when I'm not looking and I see it back at camp, you're fired and you're walking home. That's my version of shed hunting. So people think I'm nuts because I don't. I don't know. It's who I am. So Brett asks, what's the cheapest over-the-counter elk tag for an international non-resident with good odds of shooting a satellite bull? Your cheapest when you count your license plus your tag is going to be Colorado. So, oh, you know what we forgot to tell people, Michael? We forgot to tell them that we hope that you share this stuff with your friends, because the more people that watch, the better. And If you want to be notified, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to this number, 77453. And if you do that, you're going to get a lot of notifications, and we're thinking of some really cool ideas. Like every week or so, Onyx will pull a couple mystery prizes here and notify people. We've given away a bow. Leupold will give away stuff. You just never know when you type a comment and you're going to get a message from one of these companies saying, hey, guess what? You're our winner. And this week, we've added Rocky Mountain hunting calls, and someone's going to get a Black Magic diaphragm call. All this stuff that we've been talking about how to draw tags, because right when we talked about it the last few episodes, it's first you have to draw a tag. You can't go and hunt without a tag. So that's why we spend so much of our effort this time of year talking about drawing and acquiring a tag. It's the first step, especially if you're a non-resident. And the place with all the information you could ever need, the best information, is GoHunt.com. They have the service called the Insider. And if you use promo code Randy, you're going to get $50 of mad money in their gear shop. And we're going to start doing some features of stuff in their gear shop, because they don't just carry any kind of whatever product in their gear shop. It's tested stuff. It's good stuff, or it doesn't get in their gear shop. So, Michael, how's the Winter Archery League going?
It's going pretty well.
Yeah?
Actually,
How's Marcus doing with his new bow?
he's doing really well. He finally beat my average the other day.
Oh, all right. So Marcus is out there with his new realm, and he's just doom, doom, doom. He's got it all decked out too. Marcus has the black gold sight. He's got the Ascent slider sight on there. He's got the ripcord. I think he's got the Ace is the rest that he's got on there. And then he's got the tight spot quiver. And so what else do we need to cover here? Because we're going to take a few more questions. Oh, Leupold. Go to leupold.com, or maybe just watch them on Facebook or Instagram. They got some really, really cool products coming out this year, and that's one of the pleasures of what we get to do. Michael's been using a pair of prototype binoculars that he stole from me last year, and because Leupold sends them to me, and they're like, Randy, use these, abuse them, test them, whatever. But I can never show them on film, because prototype version 1 might look completely different than what the final product is. And the last thing they want is for someone to say, hey, I saw Newberg using this thing that looks like blah, blah, blah. But that's one of the fun things about what we do, is that Leupold tests us to go and run stuff through the ringer, and we abuse it. But the new stuff they're coming out with this year is really cool. They're sending me new scopes for the rifles, and it'll be fun mounting all those. And once I get through tax season, I got to get back to shooting my bow. These guys aren't CPAs, so they get to go and do archery league at night. Me, I got to go to a CPA firm or do something else to pay the bills, and I don't get to shoot my bow much this year. So my new realm, I've been shooting it some, and it's great, but I'll admit that the last 3 weeks I've been lacking. So, all right. How many more questions should we take, Michael?
Not really care.
Oh, let's see. Oh, this one would take forever. Perry asks, Randy, what are your thoughts on the overpopulation of feral horses on the public lands of the West? I don't like it. If you have seen where horses, that they're not a native species to the current landscape. We hunted Nevada, 3 times this year, right?
Yeah.
And what the feral horses have done to the water sources is where it's most obvious. And then you see where they've got the range mowed down to just about nothing. They're out of control. That's my opinion of them. And somehow, some way, people are going to have to get the courage to do it, because they're doing permanent, long-lasting damage to the landscape at the expense of mule deer and at the expense of sage grouse and antelope. Native species are taking it on the chin on account of feral horses. Let's see. What's the best week to hunt elk, Danny asks. any week that you have a tag. Depends on what you're looking for. If I had to give my choice, I'd say I want to hunt them the last week in November in the Northern Rockies, because I know there's going to be snow on the ground and I can find a really nice bull elk on public land a lot easier the last week in November than I can any other time, even during the rut. But if I'm a crazy fanatic who I'm just nothing but it's archery or nothing, then I'm probably going to go September 12th through the 20th, somewhere in there. Let's see. You should convince Orion Coolers to do another giveaway with Viking colors. I've already asked him that, and gold is it's impossible to do gold in rotomolding coloring. You could do purple and yellow, but not purple and gold. So don't bet that it still won't be there. There's a possibility of that. If I can talk him into it. What are the better special limited entry draw bull elk tags for Montana? Rowan wants to know. Pretty much anything in central Montana or southeast Montana or around the Missouri River breaks. If you want a super, super good limited entry tag in Montana, those are the areas I'd focus. And I'd say they're all about the same. It depends on what you have for access or ability to access. If you can negotiate the private public thing, any of those units will work. Some people aren't comfortable, so they say, I want a unit that's all public. Okay, I get that. You're probably going to go for the Missouri Breaks units then. So, oh my goodness. We have got way, way too many of these. All right. You got any more, Michael?
I got one from earlier.
Okay.
You've talked a lot about using spotting scopes, but how do you pick the happy medium between weight and having too much glass?
Okay. Someone is asking, when I'm picking a spotting scope, where's my happy medium between weight and a big lens or less weight and a smaller lens? It's a trade-off. And in elk hunting, I never carry an 80 millimeter. An 80 millimeter is going to be bigger. It's going to weigh more. And if you look at the Leupold gold rings that I use, they're for whether it's an 80, a 60, or a 50, whatever diameter lens you're talking about on the objective end, the Leupolds are the most compact and the lightest. So for me, I look for the 60 millimeter. It's that compromise between weight and compactness and still super quality glass in a 60 millimeter objective lens. That's what I would say I use for just about all of my elk hunting. Now, if I'm hunting out on the prairie and it's antelope and I know I'm going to be driving in glass, and then I use my 80 millimeter gold ring. So, wow. Mike's asking, are you ever going to raffle off your GPS waypoints? I've said that a couple times. I don't know what I'm going to do with those someday. The Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation keeps asking me if I'll ever auction them off. I don't know. Would you ever do that, Michael?
I think people would be really disappointed in getting my waypoints.
Okay, Michael says people would be disappointed in his waypoints. If you were in my shoes, would you ever auction off your waypoints?
Probably not. I mean, I guess if it was going to a good cause, but...
Yeah, well...
I don't know.
If I do it...
That's a lot of hard work.
Yeah, if I do it, it's going to be when I'm completely pulling the plug and getting out of the elk hunting business. But I think they're going to plant me in the ground before that happens. So, someone asked if I drew a Montana elk tag this year. Fortunately, as residents in Montana, we can just go buy over-the-counter elk tags. So we're spoiled that we get over-the-counter elk, over-the-counter deer. And when you apply in Montana, I was talking earlier as a non-resident, to hunt elk here, you got to get either the deer elk general combo or just the elk license. And those are general tags. And then if you clear that hurdle, you can apply for the limited entry permits. Well, our general tags in Montana are great. Yeah. I get to hunt elk all across the West. And Montana has some really good elk hunting, but you got to work at it. Montana people take their elk hunting seriously, so you're going to have competition. The elk are going to be pressured into some faraway places, but the beauty of it is you get 6 weeks of archery, and if you don't fill your tag then, you can come back in rifle season. So we get 6 weeks of archery, we get a 1 week break, and then we get 5 weeks of rifle season. You get 11 weeks to fill your elk tag in Montana. How crazy is that? So it's Ron saying, don't do it, Randy. Don't do it. Jesse asks, hey, Randy, if you could only pick between these 3 rifles for elk, which would it be and why? A 270, a 308, or a 30-06? It'd be a 308. 308 and 30-06 are very similar. 30-06 has a little bit of an advantage as far as ballistic performance. But the other thing that I look at is weight. And the 30-06 and the 270 are long action cartridges. The 308 is a short action cartridge. So I can get a lighter weight, shorter platform, and I'm going to save probably a pound or more by going with the 308. So that's what I would pick if I was, that's not what I'd pick, it's what I use. Everybody sees when I'm hunting elk, I'm using my 308. I have a 300, and sometimes if we're not making big long hikes, you'll see me carry the 300 Win Mag. And for deer and antelope, usually you're going to see me with my 7mm MOA. Again, it's a short action rifle, super accurate, really, really good, and it'll do what I need it to do very well, better than I will. If you take my rifle, my scope, and my Nosler ammo, and a lot of people ask this up, and we've done YouTube videos on this. I've got my Howa rifle. I've got Nosler, usually AccuBonds or partitions. And then I've got either my VX5, VX6, VX3i, Leupold scope. And if you add those 3 things together, they are so much more capable than I am. If that animal doesn't expire at the shot or shortly after, there's only one place to blame. Kind of like with my archery setup, you think about all the technology that goes into a smart bow that Bowtech makes, and then the accessories I have from the 3 companies we talk about, Tight Spot, Ripcord, and Black Gold. In the arrow technology, the broadheads, that stuff is so dialed in. If I miss, it's me. I get a kick out of people who say, oh, my equipment this, my equipment that. In today's day and age, I don't buy it. I'm sorry. I have never missed anything that I can recall that was my equipment's fault. I've missed a lot of things, but it's never been the fault of my equipment. Brian asks, are you going to stay with the Alpine Mountain Rifle now that Howa discontinued? No, we're working on some stuff. Be patient. Randy, why do you prefer black gold sights? Because I've been using them since I started archery hunting. I've dropped them off mountains. I've done everything you can possibly think of to them. And they got a lot, they'll get a scar and there's some scratches, but they're bomb-proof. And they were the first company. Okay, now we're all accustomed to, how all the optics / light systems are on these archery sights. The first company that came out with that was Black Gold. They're the ones who started these, I think, photochromatic or whatever you want to call it. They're just bomb-proof. And I'll admit to being a little biased because they are made about 10 miles from here, and I can drive out to their shop, and I will be talking to some of the most hardcore archery hunters I know when I get to the Black Gold shop. And that gives me a lot of comfort. So I don't know if that answers it well, but it's kind of what gives me comfort. Ron says, Randy, when I grow up, I want to be able to hunt as much as you do. You better have a good wife then, because I got to go do a storytelling session Friday night. It's a public storytelling session, and I'm going to tell a story. It's a public land story about my wife and how we moved to Bozeman because we came here on our honeymoon. My wife said, I want to go fish in Montana for my honeymoon. And on our way home, we're driving back to where we live. She said, I'm moving here. You coming with? I'm like, man, we just got married. I already got the ultimatum. Yeah, I'm coming. But so if you want to hunt as much as I do, better pick a good wife or a good husband. I always say wife because obviously I got a wife, but it applies on both directions. Make sure you have the best spouse you can possibly find, and then you'll get to hunt a lot. All right, Michael, did I cover just about everything?
I think you did.
Randy, have you ever hunted with a recurve or a longbow? Jacob. No, I haven't. I'd love to. I always tell people someday when I grow up, I'll use a recurve or a longbow. But when you have wrist problems, left wrist, right shoulder, it's not in the cards for me. I would love to go do it someday, but it's just not going to happen. So anyhow, folks, we've been at it for over an hour. Appreciate you chiming in and asking questions. But we'll be back next Wednesday. What's next Wednesday, Michael? Is that the 7th? Or is it the 6th? I don't know.
Next Wednesday will be the 7th.
The 7th. All right. Next Wednesday, the 7th, right here. Bring your questions. Thanks for watching.